Okay, I'm going to talk about the deciduous stromal cells, kind of the stromal cell as a novel and promising therapeutic cell for the acute inflammatory disease, and in this case, is multiple sclerosis. And very thank you for the IPH 2024 for this opportunity. If it's possible to change it. Okay, you know about the future medicines that immunotherapy and the regenerative medicine is one of the most important of the 10 trends in the future medicines, and you know that the regenerative medicine is an important subject in many areas, especially in the future medicine. It's next slides. By the way, when you look at regenerative medicine, you can find that's the main part of this regenerative medicine is cell therapy, and that's why the more the literature you can find that regenerative study is equal to the cell therapy. And the next slide we will see that most of the yes, we have a long list of the disorders that now use the different stem cells that comes from the embryonic stem cell, I don't know, mesenchymal stem cell, umbilical stem cells that use these cells for the treatment of their patients. This is the not whole story. In the next slide, you can see that there is more than 100 products that approved in the different countries for the cell cell therapy. So it means that this industry is not the infancy and is going to the teenage area. And in the next slide, we can see that there is almost 3,000 pipelines in the different categories. So the stem cells going to the brass in the new futures, and it will be very, very good and very big industry in the whole fields. And this next slide, yes, you can see from these of these cells, I mean the embryonic stem cell, iPS, and other things. One of these cells that we call the mesenchymal stem cells, they're very famous as a pioneer in the stem cells. You know that there is a definition for these stem cells. And in the next slide, we can see that we can use these cells for many disorders in the different organs in the brain and nerve and I don't know, the muscles, face, and every organs we can use these cells. At least we have some clinical trials in these cases. But in next slide, we can see that regarding of this long list of disorders, we have the different I can say that the many sources and different sources for the getting of the stem cell as mesenchymal stem cells for our patients. When you have a long list of disorders and long of the sources, it means that's in the biology, you know, that in the biology, everything go to the more efficiency. When you have this long list in the two different sites, it means that we are faced with a very complex systems. So we have to use the new strategy. In the next slide, I will say that what is the new this strategy. In this strategy, if you want it to be success in the stem cell and cell therapy, you have to get a very good strategy. Believe me, the time is spent for use the cells that comes from the adipose or bone marrow without any the manipulation, without any consideration, just injected to the whole patient. All this time is enough, and this is the span. And if you not going to the new strategy, you will lose all the patients. In this new strategy, they say that we have to choose the right cells, right and right times. And in the company that I'm the CEO of this company, in the Taskin Bioregeneration. And next slide, I will show that we, from the all these lists, we just focus on the acute inflammatory disorders because these diseases are in the mechanisms are the same and have the good market. And next slide, as I mentioned, that the underlying of the mechanism of these disorders, this complex but it's a similar. There's a limited treatment options with the high side effects, high cost of the treatment, and severe unmet medical needs. In the cell therapy, you can use the same the drug products for the all indication in the acute inflammatory, and it's a very good opportunity for the people that are going to work with the acute inflammatory diseases. And the next slide. So we choose the right disease, and we start a study for the choosing of the right cells. Actually, we want to control the autoimmunity when we have the dysregulations. We searched all the natures, and we find that in the nature, we had a membrane with the name of the decidua, and the cells in these membranes is very special to prevent from the immune system attack to the semi-allergenic fetus. And so we decided that these cells that comes from this membrane is very good for the immunity and the dysregulation and control of the autoimmunity. So 10 years ago, next slides, my colleagues in the Karolinska started to separate the cells, and now we have the technology, and this is the membrane. These cells comes out from these cells. In the next slide, we define the technology, how we can to produce more, and after doing that all these things. In the next slides, we went to compare the cells with the other sources. As you see here, the immunomodulation, especially when we go to the T cell suppression, we have a very good and strong effects when we use the deciduous stem cells regarding the bone marrow, tubules, or the umbilical cord. So in this study, we show that this is a good. And the next slide, we studied about the mechanism, and we have the very good mechanism for the inhibition of the T cell activation, NK activation, the downregulation of the pro-inflammatory cytokines, and upregulated the anti-inflammatories, and induction of the regulatory T cells, inhibition of the B cells on the meninges. And in the next slides, we go to the field of the treatments, and we choose a very strong autoimmunity disease. This was the steroid resistance GVHD. You know, in the GVHD of the bone marrow transplantation, the new system of the bone marrow attacked all the body, and it's a very strong GVHD. So when you have the strong steroid resistant GVHD, it's the catastrophe, and all your patient will go to the die. But see what we'll do in this patients. This is the patient with the SR-GVHD, and when we injected our mesenchymal stem cell that comes from the decidua, they go to this line, and it's the same as the patient without any steroid resistance. So in these cases, we have the very good results. We submitted in the next slide. We submitted all documents to the FDA, and we get the IND approval from the FDA. If you show in the next slide. Yes, here we submitted all the documents to the FDA, and they approved our IND, and they give us to go to the clinical trial phase 3, and it means that the safety in the animal, safety in the human is approved, and dose is approved. In the next slide, fortunately, we submitted all these data, and we get the approval from the Iranian FDA, and now we have the MA for the using of these cells in the clinics for the different disorders and the autoimmunity. And one of these our targets is multiple sclerosis. If you show the next slide, I will show that. This is the other approval on MA. In the next slide. Yes, we want to go to the MS in the next slide, as you see here. In the MS, when you go to the secondary progress, we have the patients go to the restricted to the most current therapy as a steroid resistant of a GVHD. In the next slide, you can see that the mechanism of the autoimmunity is that MS is the same in the most part, at least in the most part, is the same of the GVHD in the T cell and B cell. So as I showed it in the previous slides and next slides, next. Okay, the mesenchymal cells that come from the residual stromal cells can solve this problem even in the MS2. So we started the clinical trial in Iran with our collaboration in the University of Tehran. In the next slide, you can see the title of this study. Please, in the next slide. Yes. Here you can start with the cell therapy with the placenta-derived mesenchymal stem cell for the secondary progress multiple sclerosis, and we find that they are very effective in the patient. In the next slides, we have a very good result in the EDSS. You know, that's just a very good index for the patient with the MS, not only in our study, but also in the world. And you can see that in the next slide. Yes, here is a meta-analysis. You know, that after the clinical trials goes to the meta-analysis, and here are the 22 different studies, and our studies in the Royan Institute included in this study. And this study shows that in the next slide, when you use the mesenchymal stem cells, at least in the 40% of the patients, you have the improve of the multiple sclerosis after the using of the old substance in the markets. So it's a very good result, but even more than this or better than this result is the next slide that show that more than 35% of these patients is stable for multiple sclerosis even after the 1 year. So it seems that the cell therapy is a very good method for the patient with the multiple sclerosis when you have the patient with the refractory. So in the Taskin Bioregeneration company, in the next, if you please, the next slide. Yes, we are ready to give these services to all medical hospitals or any medical tourisms. And in the next slide, you can see that our pipelines, as you see here, that we are going to work in especially in the acute inflammatory disorders, and we are ready for any strategic partnerships on any collaboration with any hospitals or any medical systems. Thank you.